We've got Cyrus Alderwood with us this morning. Good morning, Cyrus.
Hey, thanks for having me in.
Congratulations, Cyrus. You've got a new book that we're going to talk about. You sent me a picture of the cover.
Right.
You've also brought a couple of your other books here today that you're willing to do a little giveaway.
Sure. Let's do a giveaway today.
Okay. So if it's okay with you, we're going to figure out what book you want to give away first. We're going to do one early and then one a little bit later on in the interview. I think for this, if it's okay with you guys, we'll do like caller number 6 or something.
Yeah, that'd be good. We'll give away what's called Tales from the Sunset Pub. This was my last book that came out in July. So, Tales from the Sunset Pub. It's a collection of short stories. Very funny. A couple of them that are a little edgy in there, too. But this book was based on a raucous group of friends, a bunch of savages I call friends from Cincinnati at this pub I used to hang out all the time. So, we'll give that away first.
Okay. Caller number 6.
There we go. Caller number 6, 1-800-469-0098. We'll get you a copy of Cyrus's new book. And we'll have another one, you said, a little bit later, right?
A little bit later.
Okay.
What's the book you're going to... No, let's not even do that. Let's just hold out.
We're just going to wait that one out.
Yeah, we're just going to put that teaser out there. There's another opportunity if you don't win this one.
We can do it later. Yeah.
Caller number 6. We talked a little bit about that book when you were here before.
Right.
If people didn't get to meet you and listen to that interview, how did you get started writing? You have kind of a unique story of how it came to be.
Yeah, actually, I first started writing when I lived in Cincinnati back in the year 2000 when I was traveling through a cemetery, one of the oldest cemeteries in the country at the time, Spring Grove Cemetery, located on the west side. Drove through there. It was so beautiful, but it's so creepy. But there were people out there jogging, painting, writing, other artists that were out there just doing things. And so I kind of got the writing bug then. But the book we talked about last time was called Pot of Gold. And that book, it was a comedy. And it's one of these rip-roaring comedies, like every 2 or 3 pages. If you're not laughing, I didn't do my job. And but I started writing that book actually during a rough period of life when I was actually going through a depression and really didn't know how bad a depression can get. It's not something you share with people, but I needed to learn how to laugh again. And I wasn't being me. So I sat down and started with these characters that kind of reminded me of some of what I was going through, and just started writing with the goofiest stuff that these idiots could possibly get into. And it was kind of about a cross-country trip with friends, and they pick up somebody unexpected along the way. And again, the first comedy I'd ever written, but to this day, that book was really personal to me because it kind of pulled me out of that funk that I was going through in my life. And again, one of the funniest things I think I've ever read or written, and you can find it on Amazon as well, called Pot of Gold.
Yeah, it's very funny. That's the one that you had left. And I found myself once I started watching, my family was watching TV and I was reading the book sitting on the couch. And my daughter really wanted me to be engaged in this show that she was watching, and the book was there, and then I picked it up and I was like, I'm sorry. And then the next thing I know, I've picked the book back up again, and then I'm laughing, like busting out laughing. The show that they're watching isn't funny, but it was really hilarious. Very the way you write is very descriptive, and I really, really enjoyed it. I was able to make an instant connection with the characters. So it was a lot of fun. Good. So eventually I was like, all right, Mom, she wants you to watch this show. So I put down the book, and then I picked it back up later.
Mom, Insidious is not funny. Come on, this is scary.
And then I actually found that, not to give anything away, but there's something about a glass eye in that book.
Yeah.
And so then I ended up reading that part, 2 sentences out loud to my husband, and he's like, what? And I said, oh, you'll just have to read the book. So I really enjoyed it a lot. So we've got, tell again the name of this book that you've got.
Tales from the Sunset Pub.
And do you mind, I didn't ask, do you mind to autograph this?
No problem. Yeah, I'd be glad to.
Okay, so we're doing a giveaway this morning. It's 1-800-469-0098. Again, that's 1-800-469-0098. Cyrus Alderwood, he's a local author, has several books that have been published, and he's got a couple that he's giving away this morning. He will autograph those for you. Thank you for being generous and doing that and driving all the way over here.
Oh yeah, it was an adventure, right? So I don't know, it's like the ice capades out there. You don't know whether you want to like crank the heat up or just like pull over and give up.
Right.
It's almost that cold.
Okay, as I'm sitting here and I think about the craziness that I have in my life, I think a lot of us do have crazy chaos. It just seems to be very heightened right now, I think, for a lot of people. So I would assume as an author during this time period that we're living in, there's probably a lot of fuel probably for creative expansion.
Yeah, I mean, when you get around with a lot of family over the holidays, it kind of reminds you of that movie Christmas Vacation, the Griswolds, and it's like, oh my gosh. Because I have a brother-in-law who's kind of like Clark Griswold, used to decorate everything like around the house. I mean, you can spot him from like 5 miles away. But it's funny when you get around family, and you always kind of have that fodder if you kind of wanted to just sit down, observe, and take notes, be quiet in the corner, and nobody ever knows what you're up to. But people be laughing about him in the next one. So,
yes. Several authors have come in, and I'm just waiting, and I can see your wheels turning. There's going to be a book, I'm sure. I'm worried about it a little bit. I'm concerned about it. I
was driving in. You guys were talking about the different exotic meats that you could try and things like that, and I'm like, yeah. And last night I was listening to a podcast about UFO visitations, and I thought, wow, what are they here for? So I'm driving down the road today. I'm thinking, you know what? Intergalactic space burgers. There has to be capitalism in space, and our cows are the best there is. That explains the mutilations all over the place, So maybe it's like the space burgers. Maybe I'll write that one next.
Okay. Yes, there's not a radio host and her producer in it. I'm positive that they're not in that one.
Hopefully you won't get abducted if you are in it. Right?
Lord. If I don't show up, everybody's going to know what happened from last week to this week. Okay, you've got this new book.
Yes.
Tell us about that. The cover is incredible.
Yeah, this was actually one of the I had two different covers. I was kind of trying to decide which one to use. So what I did is actually emailed both to quite a few of my normal readers, my regular readers, and let them choose. So they chose this particular one, and it's called Dark Places. And the way this book came about is I'd written another short story compilation before in the horror genre, and for the last couple of years, people kept asking, when are you going to write something in horror again? Because it really, like the stuff. And so now, hey, it's finally out, right? So I'll have it out in about 2 weeks on Amazon, and it's a collection of short stories that come from not anything necessarily supernatural, because when you think of horror, you think of Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees or a lot of any Stephen King book, but there's any number of things that people can be afraid of, and a lot of those have to do with ourselves. And you could be sitting at a lunch counter in your own local diner, and there could be a wolf at the counter, and you don't even know it. So you never know who you're passing, and as you're walking through a city, they say. In one person's lifetime, I saw this on one of the crime shows on Discovery ID, that in a lifetime, a person that lives in a city will walk past a murderer, literally walk past a murderer 7 times in their life. And that, to me, was kind of creepy. So I was thinking, what makes people go into these dark places and do the things they do? So I put together a collection of short stories, some that I'd written a few years ago, and I wanted to go back and do a rewrite of them to kind of bring them up to speed, because I'm a much different writer now than I was, say, 8 years ago. And then I added some new ones, some fresh ideas and things like that to this book, and put a collection out. And looking forward to this thing coming out. There's some really good stuff in here. So really edgy.
And you said about 2 weeks, probably it will be.
Yeah, it'll be on Amazon in 2 weeks. I just ordered my last proof copy to make sure everything looks good. And if everything looks great with the format, I'll go ahead and release it on paperback and in Kindle, so that you can order either one of those. I do keep the prices pretty low. Any paperback you order on Amazon's $9.95, Kindle's $3.99. So yeah, we keep the prices low, because I don't know about you, but nothing worse than buying a $20 book, getting home, getting like 8 pages into it, and it sucks.
So hang on for the rest of the interview, because the next book that you're going to be giving away, let's talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, it was the first collection of short stories in the horror genre that I wrote, since we're kind of pitching the horror today. Bedtime stories for the terminally afraid, because I had a hard time coming up with a title. But again, a collection of short stories in the horror genre. This one's a little bit unique, because I wanted to tackle some very cliche type stories, because how many zombie movies and books are out there? How many vampire things?
The call is coming from inside the house.
Exactly. They're all so cliche, and they're so overdone. But somebody had asked me one time, like, why don't you write a zombie story? Because The Walking Dead was so big, and I thought, what the heck could I add to a zombie story? It has been done a million times. So anyway, one of the stories in there is called Run for Your Life, Fat Boy, right? So I thought, well, that would be a great story. Like, what if I was on my way to work and got stuck in a traffic jam in the middle of the zombie apocalypse? I don't have the cardio to survive like they do in Zombieland, right? So I got to rely on my brain or what's left of it. So I thought, well, how's this idiot going to survive, going through, So anyway, that was one of them. And I try to put, as you read these stories, you think you kind of know the ending. No, you don't. No, I twist some of these things up in some of the weirdest ways that you just don't see them coming. So the other cliche story I had was tackled a vampire story, and it's called Game, Set, Match. And I was just thinking out loud one day, like, what if the number one tennis player in the world, who's a big cultural icon, got bit by a vampire? How's this guy going to survive and keep playing tennis? So I just started thinking along those lines, and like, what would this guy's life be like, this, that, and the other? And so I kind of spun a pretty weird story out of that one. And no, you won't see the ending of that one coming either. But no, that's two of the stories that are in this. So yeah, it was fun writing that book. So I got a collection of about 9 or 10 short stories in this one.
John Dracula, number one tennis player in the world.
Yeah.
The great thing about short stories, one of the things that I enjoy, if you don't have a lot of time to sit down, you can just, dedicate a little bit and then you follow it through and then you're on to something else. So short stories are really
Yeah, I kind of cut my teeth first writing novels. And but I'm kind of like you. I like to find a stopping point, but where I want to pick back up again. And when you're writing a novel, that's not always the easiest thing to do, because I don't know how many books I put down at a stopping point and just didn't have the interest to go pick it back up again. So you try to leave something like a cliffhanger in some of those that make you want to go back. But short stories, yeah, it's kind of convenient to do it that way. Plus, you can write about anything you want, from horror to Elvis lives and he just invaded your town and burned down the nightclub. So anything. I actually wrote that one too.
Is that in? Which,
no, it's not in that one. It's it's on my Facebook page and on my website, CyrusAlderwood.com. It's called "Long Live the King," baby. I got this big picture of Fat Elvis in that jumpsuit, So, but yeah, he was alive in 1984 when he almost crashed into the Tasty Freeze in my hometown. So that was an interesting little story. But that was actually a part of a compilation that was put together by a group of local writers with the Appalachian Authors Guild. It was called Mountain Mist. So that was one of my contributions to that book. I actually had 2 of them in there, and they're both kind of comedic in a way. So, but you can find it in that book, or just go to my website and read it.
Okay, so we're going to give away autographed copy Bedtime Stories for the Terminally Afraid by Cyrus Alderwood. Rick, let's go ahead. I'm just excited just to give it away. I can't wait any longer.
You can't wait?
No.
You cannot wait?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah. It's caller number 6.
Caller number 6.
Give us the number, please.
1-800-469-0098. Get yourself a copy of Cyrus's collection of short stories. Tell me that name again.
Bedtime Stories for the Terminally Afraid.
That's the one.
Yeah, make sure you take it to bed and read it now.
Bedtime Stories. I'm going to say, whether you love Oprah or not, I think, when she gives away all her stuff, I could do that. I'm getting really, I'm excited to give away your books. It's like, does anybody else have any other things they'd like? We can just give it away.
I'll do that occasionally on Facebook. I'll just say, hey, somebody who has the craziest question, or like had the, the most unique holiday, like, or what's your favorite movie? And, they'll answer, and, they'll email me and I'll send them a free book. So, yeah, I do that probably every other month.
Okay, again, if you don't mind, give us your website and your Facebook if people want to take that.
It's my website is CyrusAlderwood.com, and you can find me on Facebook by just doing a search for author Cyrus Alderwood. And I do have 2 pages, one because you have to max out on so-called friends, so you have to have like a fan page too. So I have that as well, so you can find me there, or you can find me on Twitter. Cyrus Alderwood on Twitter. There's no such thing as bad publicity.
And it's so hard to please everybody. Trust me, I've tried.
So I'm going to I'm going to go to the lake and do the polar plunge, and I want that on the news. Like, this idiot Cyrus Alderwood just did a belly flop into the lake today.
Seriously, are you doing that today?
No, I'm not doing that ever.
Because I'm like, Rick, I don't care what you're doing, but we're doing that. We're not doing it. We're filming it.
You'd have to throw me in.
Yeah, I said we're filming it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not doing it.
I just assumed you were going to try to get me to do it as well.
Well, I wouldn't push you in or anything.
I don't think there's enough alcohol to get me to do that,
Well, I think we should take a break on that. We'll be back here in just a few minutes. This is your host, Kristi Slaughter, on SuperTalk Saturday mornings, WFHG 92.9. We have covered a lot of information today.
We have, even a polar plunge. Who knew we were going there today?
I didn't know. That's what I'm saying. We never really know. This is definitely live.
Yes, the beauty of live radio.
Yes, the beauty of live radio. And you've gotten several new book ideas since you're here with us. So probably, enough to probably take you throughout your lifetime. One of the things that I love that we talked about the last time you were on the show, and we haven't really touched on it today, but you work with a lot of local authors and helping kind of get them started and inspired and bouncing ideas off of each other. Do you have anything coming up you'd like to let us know about?
Yeah, I do. I get approached a lot on social media from people who are just wanting to learn, wanting to write a book, how to get started, that sort of thing. So I always try to be as helpful as I can. And I'm one of those people, I will share every mistake I ever made writing a book. I will tell you all the stupid stuff not to do. So even at the risk of embarrassing myself, but it's to help people do what they want to do better, more efficiently. I am with the Appalachian Authors Guild, so I work with get to know a lot of authors through that. The Authors Guild, they're actually throughout the course of this year, we're going to be sponsoring creative writing sessions. I think it may be every other month, and if it works out well, we may do it more often. But if you want to, if you're interested in writing a book, kind of don't know where to get started, kind of want to pick the brains of some of the other local authors who have written I know some who's written more than 30 or 40 books. Touch base with us through the Appalachian Authors Guild website. Just do a Google search for that, or look for them on Facebook, or just look for me on Facebook, and I'll get you the website. So, I'm going to be doing some creative writing sessions, just kind of thinking outside of the box, to kind of get people thinking. If they don't know what they want to write about, if they know they want to write, let's come up with some ideas. Let's sit down, let's brainstorm, and see what kind of crazy stuff our imaginations can come up with based on whatever genre you want to write in or you're comfortable with, that sort of thing. So, definitely look for that. We'll be working with newer authors, hopefully quite a bit this year, to kind of help them get started and actually walk them through the process of publishing and self-publishing, because people have a lot of questions about that, the formatting. How do you do this properly? How do I get my book on Amazon? How do I market it? That sort of thing. So we're there to help as much as we can, and I'm just glad to be a part of that.
I love it when people find something that they're passionate about and then they want to help other people. That's huge, because in the world we live in, competition can be pretty stout. And so
it can be. And especially when you get into kind of the writing, when you kind of touch base with other writers, especially well-known writers, and I'm not going to pick on any particular one, but some of them are not the most helpful people out there. I mean, I remember touching base with somebody back in the early 2000s. It was somebody I read a lot of, and I was just thrilled that I actually found a way to contact them. And it was almost like, just get lost, kid. I mean, I was like, oh God, I've read every one of your books, man. It was heartbreaking. So, but I always found it much better to lift people up than to bring them down. So, make a better world that way, and hopefully make a few better writers that way too.
Okay, do you have a book that you're working on now? Of course, I know you just finished Stark Places. It's going to be out in a few weeks on Amazon. Yeah. Have you started?
I have several writing projects going on right now, actually. But one of them that I'm working on, it's a book I'd written years ago. It was initially called Legends and Landmarks, The Night Walker. And it was, at that point when I started writing that book, I thought, I just want to write one book, But then it turned into 4. So I have literally 4 books also written that I'm going to go back and do some re-edits and start staggering those releases out over this year. And they are in the horror genre, so I was a bunch of different writer then than I am now, but I go back and read the books. They really stand out. They still stand the test of time. So I'll be getting those out. And I'm working on another dramatic piece. It's called Southern Rain. That's more outside of it's not horror. It's more of like I said, a very dramatic piece about 2 friends. And not to give the story away, but that song Poncho and Lefty by Willie Nelson? If you go back and you read the lyrics of that, I'm retelling the story of Poncho and Lefty through 2 best friends.
I love that song.
It's called Southern Rain. Yeah, it's one of my favorite songs. It was such an inspirational, tune. So, so I'm telling that story through like 2 best friends.
Do you have in your mind what the cover might look like?
I already have the cover design.
You do? Okay.
If you want, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I won't tell anybody.
It's a great cover. But
I'm really good at keeping secrets.
And I also have another one called, I'm thinking about calling it LA Sunrise. It's about a false flag operation, kind of a conspiracy theory kind of thing that takes place. It's woven in with politics and corporate greed. And
interesting.
And let's see what kind of false flag we can scare everybody to death with next.
Yeah. So, what's the new boogeyman?
Yeah. But somehow it always turns out to be us. Yeah, it's just like
I actually thought that this week. I was like, you know what? What if we just kind of focused on our own stuff we needed to clear out? Can you imagine how different the world would be? Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine.
You couldn't even imagine.
No.
Yeah, because most of us don't. It's just easier to look outside, isn't it?
Yeah. But, any updates you want to find on any of my books, follow me on Facebook or Twitter. Just look for Cyrus Alderwood. You can find me at cyrusalderwood.com. And my books are available on Amazon, paperback and Kindle. One thing I'll toss out there, I kind of hate to be that guy, but as local writers, we all kind of, as independent writers, we all kind of struggle to market our books properly. And one of the things that we do ask our readers to do, if you like the book, jump on Amazon and leave us an honest ranking and comment. You don't have to leave 5 stars. I've never asked anybody to leave 5 stars unless you just love the crap out of it. If it sucks, don't tell anybody. But if you like the book pretty well, jump on Amazon. You always support your local authors and artists, and leave us a comment and a ranking. It'd be great.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Cyrus Alderwood. And I'm going to put the information up on Facebook here in probably the next half an hour or so,
awesome.
So people can get all those links. Happy New Year to you.
Hey, you too. Thanks for having me on. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Rick. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Well, thank you, Kristi. I hope you do too.
Thank you all for listening to the show. This is your host, Kristi Slaughter, on SuperTalk Saturday mornings, WFHG 92.9.